With brace and sheep.
Hold the pennant
Hold
line.
up in the line.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
No, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
No, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Captain gives orders on the ship.
The captain of the ship is giving orders.
My ship makes me captain.
They be my charts.
That makes you Chandler.
Stow it! Not both of you! That's an order! Understand?
Sorry. I just thought with the captain issuing out, I'd throw in my name for consideration. Sorry.
When you don't know who's in charge, it doesn't go well. And in 1 Kings chapter 2, we're going to run into this question, who is in charge? So if you turn to 1 Kings chapter 2, as you're turning there, King David has died. His son Solomon has been proclaimed or declared as king. But there's a big difference between being proclaimed king and actually being recognized by everybody as king. And so in 1 Kings chapter 2, beginning verse 13, we're going to see how Solomon is going to need to take charge, not just be declared to be the king, but to really, in essence, become the king in the eyes of the people. So in verses 13 through 35, we're going to see some potential threats to Solomon and his rule. The Bible says, Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, Do you come peacefully? And he said, Peacefully. Then he said, I have something to say to you. And she said, Speak. He said, You know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel fully expected me to reign. However, the kingdom has turned about and become my brother's, for it was his from the Lord. And now I have one request to make of you. Do not refuse me. She said to him, Speak. And he said, Please ask King Solomon. He will not refuse you, to give me Abishag the Shunammite as my wife. Bathsheba said, Very well, I will speak for you to the king. So Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak to him on behalf of Adonijah. And the king rose to meet her and bowed down to her. Then he sat on his throne and had a seat brought for the king's mother, and she sat on his right. Then she said, I have one small request to make of you. Do not refuse me. And the king said to her, Make your request, my mother, for I will not refuse you. Now, what we see here is let's just get a little bit of understanding about Adonijah and who he is. Adonijah is the oldest surviving son of David, so in his mind, he should be king. As a matter of fact, in the minds of many people, he should have been king. He's been told by a number of people, we think you should be the king. And he even says so back in verse 15. He said, You know the kingdom was mine. And everybody expected me to be the king. Everybody expected me to reign. But Solomon's there and said, But really, I'd probably make a better king. Now realize how dangerous a statement this is. Adonijah is saying this to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon. So here's basically what he's saying. You know, we both know I'd be a better king than your son. But that's basically what he's saying. Now, Adonijah has a purpose in his request. He is trying to use Bathsheba to advance his own agenda. He still wants to be the king. He still thinks he deserves to be the king. He still thinks he's the rightful king. And so he has developed a plan to put himself in a position to make another run at the throne, so to speak. And Solomon says, I know your mom, so ask and I'll grant your request. He's a good son. So verse 21, here's the request. She said, Let Abishag the Shunammite be given to Adonijah your brother as his wife. Now King Solomon immediately sees through what Adonijah is doing. He has no love for Abishag. He's not interested in really being married to her. He wants to use her, one of David's former members of his harem, to put himself in a position to make a stronger claim for the throne, basically. And so, verse 22, Solomon answered his mother, And why do you ask Abishag the Shunammite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is my older brother, and on his side are Abiathar the priest, and Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, saying, God do so to me and more also, if this word does not cost Adonijah his life. Now therefore, as the Lord lives, who has established me and placed me on the throne of David my father, and who has made me a house as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death today. So King Solomon sent Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and he struck him down, and he died. So Adonijah is trying through kind of a backdoor method to still be the king, and Solomon realizes that Adonijah is a real threat to his throne. And not only is Adonijah a threat to the throne on his own, but he has a couple of very powerful people behind him. He has Abiathar the priest, and he has Joab, who is the head of the armies. He's like the chief of staff at the Pentagon sort of position. Now, before we look at what happens next, we just need to say a few words here about the high priest. In our culture, religious leaders do not carry a great deal of power and public influence. I know there are some who think we do. And just be honest, I wish some of those blowhards would just shut up and get off TV. They just make us look bad. But we don't wield that kind of power. In the ancient world, particularly in Old Testament times, the high priest was the second most powerful man in the land behind the king. They wielded a tremendous amount of influence and political power and social power and cultural power. So Abiathar, as a religious leader, is a very, very significant individual in the kingdom. So we get to him in verse 26. To Abiathar the priest, the king said, "Go to Anathoth, to your estate, for you deserve death. But I'm not going to kill you. I will not at this time put you to death, because you carried the ark of the Lord God before David my father, and because you shared in all my father's afflictions. So as a favor to my dad, I'm going to let you live, but I'm going to strip you of all of your power, all of your position. So I'm going to send you just back home. I don't want to hear from you again." So Solomon expelled Abiathar from being priest of the Lord, thus fulfilling the word of the Lord that he had spoken concerning the house of Eli in Shiloh. So now we have Adonijah, who was a serious threat. We have Abiathar as the high priest is a serious threat. And now we get the guy who's going to be the greatest threat to David. A man who's very significant in the Bible, and that's the man Joab. Verse 28, when news came to Joab. Now I just want to kind of get a running start here so we understand Joab and we can understand a little bit what we have. There's more said about Joab in the Bible than there is about the Apostle Peter. And yet, very few people even know who Joab was. That's reflective on the fact that we ignore about 2/3 of the Bible, which is a heresy known as Marcionism. We believe at First Chandler that all the Bible is given by God, as inspired, as profitable for doctrine, proof, correction, for instruction, righteousness, that the person of God may be mature, thoroughly furnished unto every good work. And so this is a part of God's word. Joab's a very, very important person. Now, David did not have a kind rule. He started early in his life being chased by Saul, who was jealous of him. He had to go hide in caves. And then while he was king, his own son, the Bible says, turned the hearts of Israel against him. He went out and tried to have a coup and overthrew his dad. And David spent a couple of years fleeing from his son and his followers, living in caves again. And then he's got a son that rapes his stepsister, and then her brother has a party 2 years later and kills his stepbrother. So David's house is just a mess. And that doesn't even deal with all the personal moral issues that David had to wrestle with, his own kind of demons. So David had a very troubled reign for all of his years, very, very difficult, through all of this. However, in the middle of all the difficulties he had, David had surrounded himself with what the Bible calls his mighty men. Now, these are men who are bold, courageous, men of valor. These are the kind of men that men ought to be. Glad to know I got about 4 of them in this church. Let me say it again. These are the kind of men that men ought to be. And so David surrounds himself with these guys, and there are a couple dozen of them. There are 3 guys who really are kind of at the head of all this list. Now, Joab is one of these key, significant, mighty men who fight by David's side. Joab is the head of his armies. Joab is an incredible warrior. He is the kind of man that you want leading your armies into battle. However, Joab, though he is a great warrior and a phenomenal leader of men into battle, Joab has a couple of ethical issues, and on top of that, he doesn't know how to quit fighting when the fighting quits. He's kind of like Rambo. Even though the war's over, he doesn't know how to quit fighting. He can't get himself out of that mentality. And so Joab is going to do a couple of things during peacetime after the wars of David are over. So they're described here. Verse 28, when the news came to Joab, for Joab had supported Adonijah, although he had not supported Absalom. So he'd been faithful to David during Absalom's revolt, but now he's supporting Adonijah. Joab fled to the tent of the Lord and caught hold of the horns of the altar. Now the rules were, if you grabbed hold of the corners of the altar, that they couldn't kill you there. You were safe until you had a trial. So when it was told King Solomon, Joab has fled to the tent of the Lord, and behold, he is beside the altar, Solomon sent Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, saying, go strike him down. Verse 30. So Benaiah came to the tent of the Lord and said to him, the king commands, come out. But he said, nope, I will die here. Then Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. The king replied to him, do as he has said, strike him down and bury him, and thus take away from me and my father's house the guilt for the blood that Joab shed without cause. The Lord will bring back his bloody deeds on his own head, because without the knowledge of my father David, he attacked and killed with a sword 2 men more righteous and better than himself, Abner the son of Ner, commander of the army of Israel, and Amasa the son of Jether, commander of the army of Judah. So shall their blood come back on the head of Joab and on the head of his descendants forever. But for David and for his descendants and for his house and for his throne, there will be peace from the Lord forevermore. So who are these 2 guys, Abner and Amasa? Well, the battles are over. And Abner comes in through the city gate, and Joab has been waiting on him. And when Abner comes in, Joab says, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Now, Abner's probably thinking, man, we're going to celebrate our victories together. We're going to talk about these battles that we have gone into together, this camaraderie that we share. And so he comes, the Bible says that he took him by the beard and pulled him in as though to kiss him, and then he stabbed him in the gut. Now, just so you know, every time Joab assassinates somebody, he stabs them in the gut. It's sort of just kind of his way of doing this. Now, if you want to read the details about all of this, you can go to 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 27 specifically says that he stabbed him in the gut, in the stomach, and he died. So he has assassinated him during peacetime without the approval of King David. But that's not all they did. He actually did as a personal vendetta. Then he killed Amasa. Now, who is Amasa? Well, you can read about him in 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 10. But Amasa is viewed by Joab as a potential threat to David, a potential threat to David's kingdom. So he thinks, I'm going to do David a favor. So Joab goes and he kills Amasa. Does anybody want to take a guess how he killed him? Stabbed him in the gut. Now, by this time, Joab's gotten really good at it. The Bible says he only had to stab him once, and he died. So he's really gotten good at gut stabbing. And I've kind of wondered, we get to heaven, and you go up to Joab, and what would you do? Man, I was really good at sticking people in the gut. That's this guy. So that's Joab. So that's what he has done. So notice verse 34. Then Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went up and struck him down and put him to death. And he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. The king put Benaiah the son of Jehoiada over the army in place of Joab. And the king put Zadok the priest in the place of Abiathar. Now, a couple things to notice here. Joab was a great leader in battle. But he's a threat to David because he's a wild card. There are people that are really good at what they do, but you can't trust them. They have no ethics. And that's Joab. He was great at leading them into battle, but he's a man with no ethics. He's a man that David can't trust. If he would assassinate, if he would side with Adonijah, he would assassinate Abner, assassinate Amasa. Who's to say that he wouldn't assassinate Solomon? Solomon recognizes Joab is a real threat to me and to my kingdom because of what he would do. But I also want to hone in on this last statement, verse 35. The king put Zadok the priest in the place of Abiathar. That's a very important statement. So why is that important? Well, according to Scripture, the king is chosen by God. According to Scripture, the high priest is chosen by God, not by the king. So what this reminds us is that the people in the Bible are real like us. None of them are clean and pristine and above reproach. Even Solomon, at this point, steps outside of God's rules. But God is still going to use him, which is good for you and me, because you and I, no matter how good we may think we are, we step outside the rules. We disobey God. We are imperfect saints. That's why these messages in 1 Kings are flawed heroes. They may be heroes, but they're flawed. And we see Solomon here does this because it's politically expedient for him to have one of his own as the high priest by putting Zadok there. So we have Adonijah, Abiathar, and Joab, all of whom are threats to Solomon. Now you may be thinking, well, this is interesting, But what in the world does this have to do with me? I'm not a king. I don't live there. We don't have kings. We don't have others. Well, you have threats to your life. Yes. Now, you may not have physical threats like Solomon did, but you have threats in your life and in your family. You have people that are that their presence in your life is a danger to your spiritual life. It's a danger to your family. And sometimes you need to know this is a threat and warn your family and watch out for those threats. Now, some of you already have an image of the person in your life that's a threat to your life. Maybe not a physical threat, but they're a threat. They're a threat to your family. It may well be a family member that's a threat to you and your family. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You're headed to a family event, family reunion. And on the way there, you make a statement like this. Now, when we get there, I want you just to stay away from Uncle. Why? Are you a female? Yes. That's why I want you to stay away from him. That's gross. He's like 50 years older than me. I don't care. Just stay away from him. If you know someone is a potential threat to your family, listen to me. I don't care if they're a family member. As a parent, you have a higher obligation to protect your children than to please some family member that's a threat to them. Okay? And so we all of us face people that are threats to our own spiritual life. They're a threat to where we're at. They're a threat to our family. And so we have a responsibility. Now, don't go out and stab them in the gut. And then on the witness stand say, but our pastor told us to get rid of the threats in our life. That's not exactly what I'm saying here. But the idea of there are people that are a danger to you and your family. And I don't just mean physical danger. They can create turmoil. Listen, we have an enemy who wants to destroy you and your family. Why in the world would he not try to use somebody as a threat to your family being a light for Jesus Christ? That's right. And so Solomon has these potential threats, three of them, Adonijah, Abiathar, and Joab. And so he removes them. Now, not only does he face threats, but he also faces a problem. The problem is not as serious as a threat, but it's still there. Look at verse 36. Then the king sent and summoned Shimei and said to him, build yourself a house in Jerusalem and dwell there, and do not go out from there to any place whatever. Now, who in the world is Shimei? Well, if you read 1 Samuel 16, 5-13, we find about Shimei. He comes down, stands across the river, and he curses David with a terrible curse. Now, when your curse goes on for more than a dozen verses, he doesn't just say, I curse thee and walk away. I mean, he just spews out all kinds of vitriol all over David. I mean, that's why the Bible calls it a terrible curse. Now, he never harms David. He doesn't try to get rid of it. He's not really a physical threat to David. But he has brought harm to David. Matter of fact, look what it says here. On the day you go out and cross the brook Kidron, know for certain that you will die. So Shimei is basically told, I want you to live here next to me. Now watch this. You ever heard it said, keep your friends close, your enemies closer? Yeah, that's right out of the Bible right here. He gets his enemy. Shimei says, I want you to right here next to me. Your blood will be on your own head. Verse 38. Shimei said to the king, what you say is good. As my lord the king has said, so will your servant do. So Shimei lived in Jerusalem many days. Verse 39. It happened at the end of 3 years that two of Shimei's servants ran away to Achish, son of Maacah, king of Gath. And when it was told Shimei, behold, your servants are in Gath, Shimei arose and saddled a donkey and went to Gath to Achish to seek his servants. Shimei went and brought his servants from Gath. And when Solomon was told that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and returned, the king sent and summoned Shimei and said to him, did I not make you swear by the Lord and solemnly warn you, saying, know for certain that on the day you go out and go to any place whatever, you will die. And you said to me, what you say is good, I will obey. So basically, here's what the deal is. Shimei is put on permanent house arrest. And he has violated the terms of his sentence. So verse 43. Why then have you not kept your oath to the Lord and the commandment with which I commanded you? The king also said to Shimei, you know in your own heart all the harm that you did to David my father, so the Lord will bring back your harm on your own head. Now what kind of harm did he do to David? He never harmed him physically. He never raised a revolt against him, never joined the enemy. But let's think about it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's the biggest lie that's ever been perpetrated. Some of you today are carrying the hurt and the scars of something that was said to you decades ago. Maybe been a teacher, another student, a parent, but somebody said something and it has shaped your life for decades. It has affected you and the way you deal with other people. Their words have hurt you. And so what Solomon says here is, I understand you didn't do anything physically to hurt David, but you hurt him. Now, notice what Solomon does. He's got him close, permanent house arrest, calls Shimei and says, you have hurt him. So now here's the punishment that's going to come. Verse 45. But King Solomon shall be blessed. Now let's just stop right there. You know you have arrived when you can describe yourself in the third person. I have not reached that point in my life. If I was to say, a couple weeks ago, Brother Paul said in a sermon, y'all look at me like, what is wrong with this fool? But Solomon has reached that point. So it's pretty impressive when you get to the point. And I know this because I've seen athletes who have reached that point. I've seen athletes who thought they were at that point, and it was pretty ugly and embarrassing. He said, he speaks himself third person, but King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before the Lord forever. So verse 46. Then the king commanded Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he went out and struck him down, and he died. So Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, now has taken care of these people. He's the king's executioner. He's the head of his armies, and so Solomon has leaned on him to help him to eliminate these. Now let's just talk about this for a minute. Shimei is not a threat, but he is a problem. Now let me see if I can help us understand what a problem is and kind of what we're dealing with. Have any of you ever gotten like a little pebble in your shoe? Okay, some of you are lying because you didn't raise your hand. How many of you ever gotten, or you just never done anything in your life? You just laid and don't do anything. Have you ever gotten a pebble in your shoe? How many of you ever taken your shoe off to empty it out and you don't see anything? Or it's real tiny. And you think, man, and you're thinking, man, boy, when it was in my shoe, it felt like a giant chunk of granite. Man, I can't believe it's just so tiny. But it's irritating as all get out. That's a problem. It's not a threat to you, but you and I have lots of people in our lives who are problem people. They're just an irritant in your life. Some of you have a long list already. You're just scrolling through the picture index in your brain of people that are problem people in your life. Now, some of these problem people are permanent, but they still are irritating. They still affect us. So let me just see if I can help us to understand how to deal with a few of these. Okay? Now, there's some problem people you encounter briefly, but they are still an irritant. They're still a problem. And so here's how you deal with them. You lay on the horn. Don't honk, you lay on that sucker. And then when you drive by them, you scream at them, hang up, and drive. Some of you want to say amen so bad, but you're not sure if you can right here. It is okay. Quit texting and drive. And so those people, or here's what you do. You say, okay, look. 3 times they've told you they'll take all your coupons at the end. Quit wasting your time and mine by saying, I have a coupon for that, I have a coupon for that, I have a coupon for that. Just let them ring it up, give them the stack of coupons so we can get out of here. Now here's where we get to the point in the sermon where some of you will just admit, I'm just a real Christian, which means there are people who irritate me. Yep. Others of you fake super saint on Sunday. You're nothing but a hypocrite and a liar. We've already seen Solomon's not perfect. We know you're not either. You may think you treat everybody nicely, but those who know you best know you worst. There are people who irritate us. Everybody's so scared to say amen, but you all know there are people that irritate you. There's somebody at work that's just the most irritating. They're not a threat. They're a grain of sand. But here's what happens. If you are dealing with a problem person for a long time, it's like not taking the pebble out of your shoe, and it turns into a bruise or a blister and can cause some serious issues in your life. So sometimes we have people, and they're a real threat, but other people are a problem, but we need to recognize this person is a problem, and this problem could get worse. Now, how do I know that we have lots of problem people? because I didn't have time to look at all 3.6 billion websites. Let me say that one more time. Actually, I want to say it more than once. I want to make sure I drive this down. There are more than 3.6 billion websites devoted to dealing with problem people. Let me say it again to make sure we grasp this concept. There are more than 3.6 billion websites devoted to dealing with problem people. I'm tempted just to wait because some of you are dying to pull out your phone and look it up right now. Just Google problem people. 3.6 billion. Now, why do we have that many websites? Because we have that many problem people. And you may be thinking, I don't have any problem people in my life. Maybe not. Maybe you're the problem person in everybody else's life. But Solomon, this Shimei, represents a potential problem. And so Solomon sends Benaiah out to take care of this. So there are real legitimate threats to you and your family. And there are people that are problem people. And so in order for Solomon to do what needs to be done, these had to be dealt with. So look what it says at the end of verse 46, the key statement. So the kingdom was established in the hand of Solomon. A declaration by David that he is king is not enough. Solomon needs to show that he is king. The word established actually means to be a pillar that you place something on. In other words, this is going to be the foundation, the pillar that his kingdom is going to be built on, that Solomon has shown himself worthy to be king. He's shown himself to be the man that God has chosen and to establish, to confirm, to bring together his kingdom by making sure that he has dealt with potential threats and a potential problem. So you may still be asking, well, what does that have to do with me? Well, this may look like Solomon is the one who's in charge, but not really. This is a reminder that ultimately God is in charge. God is the one who's moved to make all of this happen. And in your life and mine, there are people that will think they're in charge of you. And there will be people that you think you're in charge of. But in the end, God is ultimately the one who is in charge. Here's what makes this account so cool. We have David who had problems, difficulties, and threats. And now we have Solomon. He's facing the same kind of thing that his dad faced. But out of threats against us and our families, people who are genuine threats, people who are irritable problems for us, people who can negatively affect us, God has a way of taking those situations and turning them into victories. I mean, we were in a world of hurt. We were lost. But now we are saved. God took that and made it a victory. I was a sinner, and God has made me a saint. We are separated from God, and now we hear, lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. We were an enemy of God, and now we are a friend of God. We were facing death, but now we have life. Only God can take death and bring out life. We had a path to hopelessness, but now we are on the road to heaven because God can take defeat and turn it into victory. We have been betrayed by many, but we have one who will love us to the end of the ages. You may be marginalized, but in Christ, you can become a part of a family. You may be rejected, but in Christ, you can be accepted. Listen, Jesus can take those who are hated and he can turn them into a moment of hallelujah because we belong to him. Then you say, Paul, how do you know? How do you know that God can take what looks like defeat and turn it into victory? I'm telling you, I know because when there was a mother and a father who couldn't even find a motel room, Jesus was born in a barn and the angels cried out, glory to God in the highest. God can take a cross and a man can die on the cross and God can turn that into a symbol and a sign of victory over sin and forgiveness from all. And he can take the ultimate sign to defeat, a tomb, and turn it into an expression of glory and victory because on Sunday, Jesus walked out and said, death, you are defeated. Solomon faced threats. Solomon could have been defeated, but God brought victory. I'm telling you, if you know Jesus Christ, there are going to be threats all around you, and sometimes it looks like defeat, but in Jesus Christ, we have the victory. This is not a chapter about Solomon becoming in charge. This is a chapter to remind us that God is always in charge.